Hello, everyone. We'll take some time to slowly get everyone going. Hi, folks. If you haven't heard yet, my name is Beatriz, Datangel. I'm just going to let some time for people to start rolling in. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Chantal. And this is a pretty interactive session, so if you're just keep chatting away, I'm just going to slowly go through my slides and go from there. And folks, Aaron, if you don't mind, and Chantal, if you don't mind, where are you calling from, or dialing in, or joining in from? I'd love to just hear more, just to get a feel for it. You'll see I have a few slides where I'm prompting the audience as well. Fantastic, Alex in the Bay Area. I am too. Great to see you, Kelly. Great from Washington. Hopefully it's sunny up there. I know my family's up there always telling me what the weather conditions are. Sweet, Atlanta representing. Awesome, welcome all. All right, well, I'll slowly get started, and then hopefully if anyone is joining in, nope, raining. All right, well, it's cloudy here, surprise, surprise, here in the Bay Area. Well, folks, thanks for joining today. I'll just start slowly going into it. We have about 50 minutes just to chat today, and I wanted to make sure that get all the information out, but would love to interact with you more. So please keep the chat going. I will be monitoring the chat so we can start having some conversations around it. And the best part about this is to hopefully connect with folks after. So I'm going to start posting my LinkedIn and so forth. Please do the same. So what I love about Day of Security is that you can connect with others. So please do that as well. In New Jersey, great. Washington, awesome. Oh wait, you missed Washington. Never mind. All right. Well, getting started, folks. Thanks again. Who am I? Who am I supposed to, why am I talking about specialization and going beyond it? My name is Beatriz Datangel. I've spent 9 years in security on both of the vendor and the enterprise side. I started off in application security, and even before that, I was a product manager owning security as a platform. And I highlight, here are the domains, AppSec, Threat Intel, and Cloud has been some of it. But I've also done functional work as a product manager, owning platform as well. I'm currently a product marketer. I've also owned growth. So functionally, there's a lot of there's a lot of diversity in there. And then how do you apply that? And a few other things that I have that I love to share, not necessarily off the bat, but it helps create who I am. It helps me be a little bit more authentic also when I'm having conversations. I'm a first generation student. I'm the first one in my family to attend college and be who I am today in this career. I went to women's college out in Boston. I'm a rower, and talk about team sports. That's really collaborative. And sometimes it just shows that I have the endurance and I have the discipline to do so. And then I'm also very passionate about community work, hence why I'm here at Day of Security, but also in terms of nonprofit board work. And I highlight some of these aspects because sometimes if you don't even have a security background, you have skills that are transferable in it. So I hope one of the major takeaways out of this talk is that if you are curious, believe in yourself, double down, and here are some opportunities to develop a plan. If you are already in the industry, welcome. You know that it is hard to get into, but if you're looking at different verticals or looking to expand your horizon, here's another thing. Here's a few other things you can learn from. I know we have a lively conversation in the introduction so far, but what I'm looking for is, what about you? What are some things that you think professionally I have to say out in my introduction? We're talking about locations right now in the chat, but think about other things that could help you go beyond the technical or go beyond the security specialization here. As I mentioned, first generation student, what does that really mean? How does that apply? For me, it helps me show that I'm taking a risk, but I'm also having the, I wouldn't say, some people may say burden. I say the opportunity to not only help myself get to where I am, but also I have family responsibilities. So those are things that I feel like are coming up more and more, and how to use that to your advantage and leverage that instead of thinking of it as, oh, I'm not ready for this field, or that's just not me. So would love to learn more from folks location wise, but also what are you thinking? How are you positioning yourself in the field outside of professional or industry domain knowledge? I know it's tough without going on mute, but let me know if you have any anything you can type so I can share with the group. All right, I have one. I think we DM'd me instead, but one is moving from IT. And I think IT is great because then you have the idea of you have to know clients. Like sometimes clients don't know, or customers don't know what's happening. So you have to have that service aspect, kind of like no matter what, you have to understand and help them assess what's happening first before you even move into troubleshooting and then ultimately fixing the problem. So a skill set there is like a service mindset, a customer focus. You can also use something like, you know how to translate technical into a solvable problem. And I think those are things that could help you. If anyone else, let's see. Yep, here's another one. We bachelor's degree in cyber and ethical hacker cert, awesome. And then, but also you're looking to pursue a career. Sometimes even if you have all of the degrees and certs, it's hard to stand out. So if you don't mind, Tram, if you have anything that you could help to really elevate, do you have anything that shows like teamwork, communication? Doesn't have to be work related. Sometimes it's a portfolio that shows up. Throughout this presentation, we're going to start thinking about other non-traditional ways to start showing up. Awesome. We can't wait to have you, Kylie. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I think about real estate. I mean, you think about what am I going to do? I'm going from a physical real estate to the digital virtual landscape. But you have to also think about protecting those assets no matter what. You know how to sell and market this property, but you also will move into protecting this asset and property, like either physically or virtually, depending on what company you'll be working on. So think about that as another play on words in a way. Like I know how to do both physical and digital, and I also know how to market, solve, or help protect. So something like that as well. Sarah, I think, and then Sarah's coming in with 10 years of hospitality, working as a bartender. I think that's even better. You know how to talk to customers. You know how to be on your feet and think on your feet. What if they don't have you don't have everything you need to make a specific cocktail? You have to kind of sell what you have available to make that reasonable, or to make that customer happy, or that group happy. I really think that, especially with a theater background, working on being creative is so valuable now, as many things can be AI generated. If you need to solve a task, there's technology that's going to already be solving that eventually, or even now. But if you think about the human in the loop aspect, what creates that bond and that glue, that could be you, in terms of what that creativity that you bring into a specific campaign, or if a technical tactical role as well. All right. So I just wanted to get some folks there. Thank you for sharing. For those who don't have a security background, even better. And I hope you get at least a little bit more info from this session, as even if I have, what I didn't share actually is, so I studied chemistry. What am I doing here? I use the power of numbers and stories to do what I do now. Think about what is your core competency or strength here. Kylie, if that's you again, coming from real estate, how are you positioning yourself and transferring it? You understand the process. As coming from someone who at least have known the residential side of the house of real estate, I also know and understand a little bit. You've done it how many transactions? You've been able to help maybe X amount of families secure a home, and now you're helping secure their assets at this company. Another side piece there, you can also think about working in the security realm for a real estate company. If it's mortgage lending, if it's at one of the latest realtor firms, I'm thinking Compass or something more nationwide, could be an opportunity. All right, I know I'm going into it now, but I just wanted to get a sense of who else is here, and also don't forget to drop your LinkedIn, everyone. This is an opportunity to start networking and start growing and learning together. All right. Okay, so one more. Kelly moved a lot of years. Payroll, HR, soft skills are your key, absolutely. And think about that as you also think about if you're looking to leverage your strengths. Is it moving into, if you ever wanted to move into security, like more security beyond IT, think about, would you want to do security at a payroll HR firm? A vendor of that, I'm thinking Workday, Gusto, ADP even. That could be an opportunity for you to leverage what you've done. You've already checked the box of other IT and technical skills, and you have that domain knowledge already. So just an idea. All right. So if I didn't encourage you enough, why do we need you in security? It's the landscape consistently is complex, consistently ever evolving. Technology is moving fast, so are the bad actors out there. And in my opinion, we need not only diversity of where we are, who we are, how we look, how we identify, but it's also the perspectives. Just in this chat alone, we saw real estate, we saw bartending, theater background. That's what makes us so amazing as a human, as part of humanity. We want to learn others. We have that curiosity and we want to connect. Let's connect and leverage what we have accordingly, especially in this technical, somewhat confusing, somewhat complex field. And especially on the vendor side, sometimes that's a lot of throwing really complicated, technical, jargony words at people, when sometimes you just need the simplicity of, let me help you do this in a more, I'd say impactful language. And most people who have a technical background might not know what that is, but creative language folks, linguistics, journalists, I always gravitate to you, because then it's, how do I make this more compelling without using more words? Just another example. Diverse perspectives are essential. And what that means is it's having folks who are just women, non-binary, anyone who has different experiences will always help. Regional differences always are necessary to understand too. I asked about weather earlier. You can always think about what else can you think about when you're working with a distributed team to really help create more of a community also. What I love to do is especially working with a distributed team, let's look at a calendar. What is a week? What is a month? What are some certain holidays we as a collective should observe? And that helps not only standardize things that maybe on the Western calendar might overlook, but at the same time, it highlights, if this is important to you and your culture, we should all recognize that as well. So, and it also highlights what we might be missing when it comes to, if your security operations center is in one locale, they might not understand the entirety of what else is happening or understand different traffic patterns. So I think that's really important also in terms of diverse perspectives. And then lastly, it's just a core of mine. I think you saw that I went to women's college as an alum, and I'm just so passionate about bridging the gender gap and unlocking full potential of the security workforce. You hear it now. I'm pretty energetic and excited for everyone here, but why not? Let's get these diverse perspectives. And if you fall in this bucket, leveraging your background for that role is half the battle. We know there's a gap. We know there's a security skills gap. How do you see this in yourself to say, I want to do it, and here's how? All right, next. Here, great. As I've already tried to instill in some, I think you already have it. Some of the core things, no matter what, will be communication, problem solving, and teamwork. In cybersecurity, communication is key. Being able to explain complex ideas clearly and concisely is essential, but that's only on written. That's not only in written, that's also verbally. That's also in a status update meeting. And even with AI, you still need to be the voice of answering some of the key questions. Who, what, when, where. And sometimes if it's in an incident, you have to be able to explain that, add context effectively and appropriately. When do you add some color? When do you add just the facts? Communication is understanding the audience as well. And I hope that, that's a soft skill that's necessary no matter what, and doesn't have to take too much time off a degree. It's just practicing who am I speaking to? How do I leverage communication strategies to help make this more effective? And following up in different medium, if that's Slack, if that's your company culture is Slack only, Teams only, learn that so you know how to properly get in someone's inbox. If it's LinkedIn or email, even better, learning more about what is their flavor, how do you communicate? Is it phone call, Zoom, etc.? Being able to understand what works and then answering some key questions, whatever that conversation is essential. Next up, problem solving. We all do it on the daily. How do I show up here, present and ready? That's just one. Finding creative solutions to security challenges sounds like a big bag, but we do this every day. If I have a ton of passwords, have I solved it already by using a password manager? If I haven't, what am I doing to evangelize or have adoption throughout my family, for instance, is another. All of these things. Like, also, I'm a firstborn, and I have 3 other siblings. That means that I'm not only problem solving for myself, that might also mean I'm problem solving for my family. How are you transferring that type of risk, transferring some of the skills that you've learned throughout your life into what you're doing now? Of course, you don't have to say like, well, I'm the eldest child. Of course, I know how to problem solve, maybe not in an interview, but highlighting that you yourself already have what it takes. So just being able to say, I'm able to do it. I've learned in these ways. Sometimes the storyline is, this sounds awfully familiar of when I was figuring out how to set up my parents' like TV system and how I transferred that from a TV, audio, remote to maybe an IT problem solving. And it kind of creates more of a human more of a human sounding story instead of here's what I did, here are the metrics, and I solved it. So I started thinking about weaving some of those stories to make your professional background as lively as your whatever that was before. Teamwork, big fan of always highlighting any type of sports, any type of collaboration. There's a theater. Sorry, I forgot who it was, but there's someone in theater. That means you know how to collaborate with a ton of stage folks. You know how to work with this ton of art communities. Leverage that. You know how to take center stage, but you also know how to support those behind the stage as well. So these are soft skills that I think I'm trying to sense from everyone's background you can use and leverage because you already have what it takes. All right. And I would love to actually have a show of hands. How many of you are already exploring paths to security? If you're in it, are you specifically looking into threat hunting, incident response? Are you looking more on the engineering side? Just so I can understand not only what are you looking for right now, but what excites you about the cybersecurity pathways. So feel free to just, in addition to dropping your LinkedIn, let me know what you're looking for next. That way we can start infusing some details into this presentation. All right, Megan's first up with corporate security. I want to get into management. Even better because you already have seen the different facets of security. You're looking at, well, this is how architects work. This is what product security is. And now you're looking at, well, how can you help mentor? And if you don't have the management experience, highlighting that you've mentored before is a great opportunity. I've done that in mine. I've worked at startups where maybe I've only had one direct report, but I wanted to eventually move up in management also. What I did was look for opportunities to mentor my peers, opportunities like this, like day of security, meeting others, happy to always jump on a call, because that helps me understand how I could learn from others, but also hopefully bring that into a conversation when there is management opportunities to say, this is what I've done. This is what I've met with this person once a week, twice a week, once a quarter. Here are the goals and objectives that I helped this person develop and ultimately land a job, move forward, or solve this challenge. That is just as important. It's not formalized, you're not paid for it, but it shows that you took time out of your day to do it. All right, what's next? So Megan, hope that helps. Aaron, I would actually love to hear more. How do you help students get into security, but also what type of transferable skills are you sharing with them to help uplift them and get them excited? So I know, again, you're not, there's no mute option or unmute option, but feel free to chime in also, because I think half of this is trying to add the diversification and showcase that as a strength. Kelly, love that. You want to do more than just be an operator. Let's be real. Like we can all push buttons, but you're now seeing pushing buttons, creating reports can be automated. So what can you do? And I think that's a good opportunity to highlight as an analyst, what have you done to see what's the status quo? What do you move forward? And moving forward could be in any type of path that you can go in the vertical. Is it moving forward of, I want to automate, see how automation could work in this field? Is it incident response? Everyone's always looking at automating and optimizing, but also you need a human in the loop. So how do you do both? You can also think about it as, if you want to bring folks together, have you done any smaller projects to get that to optimize processes as well? That could be another opportunity where you say, hey, I saw that this happened. I got together a little like Tiger team to help me validate all of these other suspicions and assumptions that I had. Maybe they're from different teams within the corporate security team or beyond, to show that you also want that diversity of experience and skill sets to make that small cohort of a team really thrive. Chantel, all right, you're exploring product security and network security. Awesome that you're already securing some of those certs. I think some ideas to think about when you're thinking about those options are, what is the future? What are the main tools that's being used right now? Some of these are foundational skills that you'll need to understand when you're implementing some of our tools. Some of the tools within the SDLC, or if it's within the overall like perimeter. What is available? What is innovative at this point? And then moving into, how does your skills go there? I think that's you first identify where you're going to go, and then what is the process to get there? Kind of like, where am I going? I have to put it first. I'm starting here, point A. I'm then going to point B as a destination. Then you figure out all the different ways to get there. And then you identify a little bit more. I think you have the Triforce, I think is a great idea. And then I totally support that as well. All right, malware analyst, Elena, thanks for jumping in also. Advanced threat hunting. What I highlighted here, I came in from a threat intel, threat hunting, one of the startups I worked at, and I didn't even know about it. Half of it was me learning more about, I likened it to say, I'll never be fluent in a language, but I'd love to learn enough so I can be respectful. And I can also respectful of people who are immersed in this language culture vertical, and let me learn from you. Sometimes for me, it was jumping into Mastodon, learning from different groups there. Of course, saying, hey, I'm a noob learning, And most people, you'd be surprised, especially the security community, always willing to lend a hand, send resources, jump on a call of some sort if that's available to you. And I'd say just learn and grow from there, because we'll never be experts, even with all the certs, all the degrees. I say it, I'll never be it. I'll never be fluent in that language too. I love to try though. And saluting and supporting those who try, but also being humble and saying, I'll never be an expert. I want to learn more. What would you share? And I think that's half the battle, is that too. All right. I just want to make sure I got everyone else. All right, Kylie, that's a little bit later about how to get there. All right, and Aaron shares some good tips. All right, ask them share the whole career journey. And I think even though we think that I just need a job, I just like, this is what I've done, and these are the past 2 jobs that I've had, and here's what I've done, or here's the certs that I've done, and here's the little projects I've done too. Those are great, but let's be real. We are our whole selves. We are authentically. I can't hide this. I can't hide this face as much as I try. I am who I am, and I want to share who I like, what I've done, or what has brought me here in the best light possible. And sometimes those are me working retail jobs. I can't deny it. That's happened. I took jobs at one point I had to pay my student loans. That, you shouldn't shy away from that. Instead, it's highlighting graduating in around 2010 was tough. Highlighting that, but I made it through and I stuck it through. I learned a lot. I took all these courses and here I am. And no one could doubt that, or no one can take that away from you. And it's being able to say, you've succeeded or you've thrived in spite of it all. All right, I think that's all for now. Awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing. Kylie, again, in terms of your next steps, I have some tips here too. All right, so I touched a few. So just to give you a highlight of some of the bullets here, if you're a natural detective, maybe threat hunting is the way to go. You are proactively searching for hidden threats lurking in systems, and you're also leveraging what is known out there about certain insider threat vectors to make sure that your corporate security team is aware, prevents, or solves for that exploitable vector. If you like, just a more fast-paced world, if you're thinking the security landscape is so complex, but you're also looking at it as, I want to help solve and communicate how we solved it. Incident response, it might be more your style. That's where you can jump in, stop attacks before they cause serious damage, and being able to report and optimize. So I forget who it was, but if it was someone who wanted to, if you're looking at what's next and how to optimize, figuring out a good playbook, and then changing what didn't work for maybe that P0 or P3, and changing it up, using different tools, using different people. It's a part process, part like, I just want to get in and help. So that might be IR for you. And then AppSec, building secure software from the start. There's a lot of talk about secure by default. That's where you can think about tinkering and working with a developer. If you are a developer and you have in the past, this could be your entryway in, because now you're helping build tools for your development or engineering teams, or you're building tools that'll help others, if you're working at a vendor perhaps, to help you. And lastly, security operations. This is where you are seeing things at a different level. You're looking at numbers, you're looking at streams of data, and then trying to assess, is this like an anomalous activity, suspicious activity, or is this something par for the course? That's where you kind of put your thinking hat on all the time. Yep, and Patricia, I hope that kind of gave you a little sense of what a SOC analyst might be doing. You're looking at numbers, streams of data, understanding what's happening, presenting or leveling up, like, hey, I think this alert is a false positive, or I think it's a false negative. We should check it out. Fantastic. All right, Alina. I've been surprised how much people in security, we are. I hope everyone else is saying that too. I love the hearts, I love the emojis. Please, folks, we know how hard it is. Please connect, and also share your story too. All right, so I highlighted just an overview. Here are some strengths needed in terms of your example careers. If you're in the domain of, you're drawn as a natural detective, problem solving is one, analytical thinking is another, and technical skills would be next. Technical skills, I always like to leave at the end. Those are things that if I already know where I'm going, the destination again, I already know what I have, my point A, where I'm starting off from. Now I get to figure out what will it take to get there. Maybe it'll take 10 days if I'm walking. That's a lot. Maybe it'll take a few years because it's if it's a degree program, that's a lot too, or a certificate. So then you start thinking about what are the tactical, technical skills that are there. And I think there's Dave Security, there's WeSys, there's tons of free or like a nominal payment for certain other programs. I think Udemy is great, especially we get the membership. There's a lot of free courses on Coursera as well, if it's scripting, Python, etc., because it's foundational. You're still thinking about what excites you, what you are drawn to. Then you're thinking about what are the things that I can get there faster? Scripting might be one, understanding network forensics, networking cloud, if you're looking at security architecture, for instance, all of those kind of go into play as well. So I wanted to say, if any of these come up for you, I think there was a SOC analyst here. Yep. So if you're thinking about this, security operations makes sense, but also what I like to do also is looking at job roles. I'll take a job description. Look, AI is available now. I'll always use job description, drop that into AI, looking at the skills needed. Do I have those skills needed in my resume? If I don't, I'm not going to force it, but I will figure out how do I infuse problem solving into my resume that then shows that I'm transferring this in. I have it, I just don't have it in the security realm. And most places won't say you must have problem solving in the security space. That's a little too prescriptive. And instead, you're looking at who are folks or where are companies that are looking for these skills and will value your experience. I think that's another one. It's hard to suss out through Glassdoor, Indeed, and other type of job aggregators, but sussing it out through the job description. How flexible are they? How excited are they to bring in diverse perspectives is another thing. So keep that in mind as well when you're applying and looking around. And I wanted to make sure, and then the skills and next is up. Anyone else have any questions on like sliding career paths? If you're exploring something totally different, would love that as well. Maybe it's something I missed or something that you're doing to explore a new domain. If it's security and AI, hot topic. I think all of those strengths and example careers are just getting started. That can mean you too. Like, how are you applying your background in this exciting space of AI, in this exciting space of security, and leveraging your background? So think about that. It's a newly budding field. All right. No, I love that as well. I'm just reading Aaron, the way you present your past experience will inform to see it as a benefit. Absolutely. Those strengths are needed. It's just I wouldn't say it's, you're positioning yourself differently. You're being able to say, I'm excited about this. And that's huge because it's then showing a signal of I'm not spraying and praying my resume or myself, or I'm not just applying and getting certs and degrees. I am intentional about this. And here's why. And paint the picture of what your nonlinear path is, because going beyond the specialization, it's leveraging and taking what works, using your interest and expertise into something new. And I think that's it's always a benefit there. And then last but not least, if we don't have anyone else jumping in, it's moving into your action plan. That's right. Never know who else got their start at McDonald's. You can always chat there, like, oh, remember how we had to do this, or some of the some of the like little words that you'll only know at in that field. Like, for instance, I worked in retail. Whenever I meet someone else in retail, I would say, like, gosh, remember when all we wanted to do was just become key holder, and think about how that progression moved on from there. Because you're thinking about a leveling then moving on. And for those who are unfamiliar with a retail key holder, they sit below a manager, they sit above a retail associate, and they are the one who literally holds the keys. But then you also can consider that as an opportunity. As a key holder, I have the liability. If I lose this key, things could go wrong. If I have the key, that means I was trusted by the security team or by management to ensure a proper close down and a proper open up of the store. You know, those are things that you can bring in as the trust and responsibility, the leadership that you have. It's just not really shown in the general job description too. Awesome. I love it when it comes to folks working in the nonprofit sector. Absolutely. You know, when I started bringing into, I was working in security, I was piqued by nonprofits usually don't have the resources to do it, to use the most tech out there. I was able to help find some nonprofit discounts at Box and other places for this nonprofit I'm supporting. And it's only because they just didn't know that with all these filing cabinets around them, they started needing to digitize. You know, looking for those opportunities and being able to just connect dots, that could be one thing that you provide. You're able to show and let people get more tech forward. And I hope I'm saying your name right, Kanel. But Kanel, if there's another way you could say this, I think earlier I mentioned if you work in IT, half of it is you're trying to sit down with someone who might be a little frazzled and just unsure what's happening. What is a compromise? I don't know. I think my account was hacked, and they're using words that they know, but you have other words that you're like, is this a compromise? Is this an account takeover? I'm not sure. Translating that accordingly is super helpful, because then you're not using scary words for the potential victim, your client, and they're able to then use the words that make sense without being scared of what happened. Is my data gone? Consulting can work, and I think another opportunity is if you want, you then leverage your IT background, especially in the nonprofit sector, and then moving into here are the best practices for every nonprofit. If you have no budget for IT or outsourced IT, here's the baseline, and then you move on from there. Consulting's always an option. I do it in between when I'm looking at other full-time opportunities. I'll always say, here's my consulting schedule, availability, always here for a chat, because at the end, it's just networking. If they don't necessarily have to say, I'm going to sign up and pay you tons of money to help me build this program. Sometimes it's, thank you for the tips. We're not ready yet, but we'll think of you next time. And half of it, and that's where you come in. You're like, great, I'm happy to support. I'm still learning. I'll always keep learning, but I'm always happy to at least lend a hand from what I know into what I can serve you at this time. All right. Any more? Sweet. Okay. And if you switch to cloud security, I think switching to any security domain, it's whatever interests you. Of course, there's there's more jobs here. There will always be more jobs in the security space, in my opinion. It's more figuring out what are you drawn to, what excites you, what will help you always look at the latest article and learn more about it, because that makes it so much easier for you to talk freely about it, show your passion, and it almost disguises your lack of years of experience, because you're like, well, Kanel's really into this. Wow, maybe that's an opportunity for us to learn more about their experience and their passion rather than someone who only knows this specialty. And in the interest of time, I want to make sure that I share an action plan with you, and then I'll address any questions in the chat. Action plan for cybersecurity success. This is just some of it. Part of your action plan is showing up today to learn more. So I want to congratulate you too. Some of it that I mentioned is, what do you have already? Identify your current skills, current things that can stand out as a good storytelling mechanism. I use rower. I've been rowing for 10 years plus. I stopped. I like sleeping in now, but rowing means discipline. I'm an early riser. I have the calluses to prove it. All of those things kind of come in to say, well, what makes you you, Beatriz, or what makes you you? And then you start highlighting, these are the things that make me proudest. If it's, hey, I'm a parent and I'm proud of that, show that. Like, maybe that's highlighting, it took a while for us to become parents, the hardships, the things that we needed to do to stabilize our family. Without going into too much details, highlighting that that's a skill set that you are now most proud of, using that and leveraging that in a way that shows problem solving, collaboration, communication. All of that really helps. I wanted to also highlight that part of your self-assessment has to include interests. I highlighted domains that I used to work in because it interested me. But I saw it at the deeper level, like for instance, threat intelligence. That means you have a lot of data coming at you, and you can't really sometimes understand signal to noise. That interests me because then it's data. At the end of it, it's presenting numbers in a way that there's an action. So that's what started getting me excited. What is your interest? Is it, again, threat hunting is because you just always want to solve the next, maybe hidden threat? That could be you. Leverage your experience accordingly. Next, bridge the gap. You figured out what you like, where you are, and where you want to go. Next is, what do you need to get there? Is it technical? Is it soft? Is it understanding more about the specific domain? List it down. Develop a learning plan around that. Is it courses? Is it maybe I need we have the security, I call it the security summer season coming up. We have RSA, tons of B-sides. I think we have OWASP events regionally. And then there's Black Hat, DEF CON, and I think a few SANS summits coming up. So I can't say enough about the SANS. I know Aaron's in the call too. I've spoken at a few summits and also attended. Those are some of the learning plans you can in virtual or in-person events. If those aren't available to you, tons of, I'm a huge proponent for a cheap and cheerful learning opportunity, and that means YouTube. That might mean newsletters. If you haven't yet and you're interested in OSINT, check out the OSINT newsletter. Super awesome. It's led by a guy named Jake. Super awesome in terms of giving you free things. Who doesn't like that? And then networking. Also, if you're vibing with things that people are saying on any social network, on what I'm saying, network. And comes easy for me. You can tell a little bit more of an extrovert, but for folks who aren't, highlight like, hey, this is, I really found your talk useful. That speaks volumes to a speaker. That speaks volumes to other people. I took time to do this. You took time to attend this talk. The amount of times that I don't get follow-ups is surprising. But I think that's the same thing for you. Other than data security, I always get great follow-ups. But think about that as that's part of your value proposition. I'll always say yes. I'll always say happy to chat more. What is yours? Because then it creates something about your character, but also keeps you top of mind. Last two, definitely not the easiest at times. Crafting your security value proper. I would say it's similar to figuring out like, what do you bring to the table? If you think about like, well, I've done this all my life. Great. Why do you still do it? And I think that's a very palpable message for anyone who's joining or jumping into a field or trying to rise up like into management. Highlight what you've done and what interests you, which you already done steps 1 and 2. And then why this specific one? I think the why is more important at times. And Erin, back me up here as you're talking to as your career coaching as well. The why is just as important, because then it gives me the hiring manager, or why it gives me someone who could help you as a mentor, help you understand, what can I do for you? What do you want to do at this job? And how can I get you there? Because especially as a manager, it's more figuring out, you could do the job, awesome, but will you be bored and leave in 10 months, in a year? Being able to understand this is also a bi-directional opportunity of development to help develop the team that you're about to get hired for, and for you. So be sure to get that. If you don't have that experience, portfolio is just as good. You submit that as part of your resume or application to highlight, this is my background, this is why I'm choosing security in this specific field, here's what I've done to showcase that. No one could knock that. You've done your own learning and development around that. And then lastly, I say search strategy. I don't necessarily say job search in this case, because you might be early in your search. Are you looking just for what is out there? What are the roles? What are the mentors? What I love doing is figuring out, like, what is your target job, your career in the next year, 2 years, etc. Look at that. What did they do? Did they get a degree? Did they get a cert? Yes, some people just get lucky, and that's fine too. But being able to see that and then try to look at, how many jumps did they take? What could I learn from them? And then shoot them a message, because at the end of it, it's those roles that you're thinking, wow, maybe this could be me. Maybe they have something to say too, and you can just use that as an entry point of, I'm fascinated by your background. I'm also choosing to be, or looking to be, this in the future. What tips do you have? Maybe you don't get a response, but you at least get a follow. You get to follow on what's happening with them, and then you get to see like a glimpse of their day to day. So don't worry. So just keep that in mind as you're searching for your dream role, your dream career, or that ideal company. I say it twice and I can't say it enough. Networking in any way, shape, or form helps you in your search strategy. You would never know, maybe it's even your old roommate. What are they up to now? If you left on good terms, you can always, pick that back up. How's it going? What are you thinking? Maybe they are an executive director at a nonprofit now. What are you doing for technology? Oh, I use this great IT staffing firm. You never know what that opportunity is if you just, start learning and start synthesizing. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm looking for. Would love to pick your brain. Would love to learn more. Would love to just connect and, start learning and supporting whatever you're doing on LinkedIn or Twitter. Those are just as important, super helpful, and hopefully some tools to help you get started on your cybersecurity success. All right, and I have a few people coming in. Yes, Erin, you're right. Managers are tired. Some of them don't want to be managers. Surprise, surprise. They just kind of fell into it. Help them know what to do to help you succeed. Because when you succeed, their team succeeds, they succeed. In a sense. Absolutely, Canel. I can only imagine, having that security, quite literally, not just in cybersecurity. The job in financial security is paramount, and being able to highlight, like, your why is that. Yeah, that could be a play on words. My why is to secure a more secure environment and future for my family. And here are the things that I need, and here are the things that I think your company needs to establish security programs. It's a play on words again, but highlighting again, this is what I need from you, but this is also what I need, what I can do for your company. Because it's a little bit of a dance of why me and why you. So keep on considering that. Maybe it's always just 1 or 2 lines in a application or in a message if you are shooting it to the hiring manager or just to a mentor. Here's what I saw in your profile, or here's what I saw in the job description that resonates with me. Kind of like what Erin said, people are tired. We don't know how to help you. We don't know what you're looking for. We'll just say it explicitly, and then we are able to qualify and say, yes, no, here's what I need from you to before I could hire you. At least there's a feedback mechanism rather than a complete rejection, which always sucks to get. And then, yeah, and after that, I know I have a few minutes left. I just want to say thank you. Reach out if I see a few LinkedIn connections already. Reach out if you have any questions. I'm mainly on LinkedIn now, not as much on X, but if you do find me, I'll still answer wherever you find me. I'm happy to open it up for any questions, comments. I do have about 4 to 5 minutes left. All right, as we're coming up, folks, thank you so much for joining in, and I hope this gave you some ideas of how to go beyond and leverage your skill set accordingly. I didn't want to throw out too much numbers. I wanted to think about just spark curiosity and then start thinking about mapping skills like what I have here to domain if you're just getting started. And then others are, developing this plan again, if you haven't seen it. Here's the map. And then again, for the plan just to get you going. Yep, Sarah, keep connecting with folks. And if you haven't yet, just take your time to scroll up. There's about I'd say there's about 10 folks who have already shared their LinkedIns. Please do so. This is only for us to help us get stronger as a community and to secure what makes us what makes things go round. What we do every day. We trust certain tools. There are people behind the security teams at Google Drive, at Bizabo, who need help. So think about that. We use these every day. How can you lend a hand to say, I've used it. I want to be a part of it. I want to help secure this for my family and friends. That's another way of thinking about it. Oh, thanks, Kelly. I appreciate it. Anything that comes to mind, please let me know. I'm always trying to take these presentations to the next level, as I was one of you back then. I chose not to go a technical route, but I saw that I wanted to go beyond the family IT, always being called like, hey, the router's fixed or not fixed or anything, to going beyond. Alex, I would actually do a little bit of both in terms of soft skills and technical skills. What I do is I do an overview and then a skills list. I do both technical as well as soft skills. Sometimes I've seen other people who have a table on their resume, especially if they come from a developer and a technical background. Here's the things that I have: years of experience, or a checkbox of years of experience and management. So you might be, if you're rising into management, for instance, you want to show that I've mentored for at least 5 years. Help the manager or the person reading your resume do the math. But soft skills, I would also just always put that in the job description. I mean, in your resume, if you don't have space for the soft skills at the top of your resume. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, if anything else, folks, I appreciate your time. I'm going to leave this here. And if you have anything else, feel free to reach out. I'll be here for just monitoring the chat, but I know there's another amazing session right behind me.